Throughout the years, black artists have been taken advantage of.
For decades, Michael Jackson was known as the King of Pop, a performer who changed music, dance, and entertainment forever. Millions of people admired his talent, and his concerts brought together fans from every corner of the world. But behind the bright lights and record-breaking success, Michael often spoke about something much darker. He believed that many artists, especially black artists, were treated unfairly by powerful companies that controlled music, money, and public image. His speeches about record labels, ownership, and artist rights still circulate online today, leading many people to ask the same question. Was Michael simply speaking his mind, or was he exposing problems that the entertainment industry did not want to discuss? This question has become even more popular because comedians like Dave Chappelle have described Hollywood and the media as a monster that can build someone into a superstar and then tear them down just as quickly. Some fans connect those comments to Michael's life and career, while others believe the comparison is more symbolic than literal. Either way, the discussion continues because Michael's story is about much more than music. It is about power, control, reputation, and what happens when one of the biggest stars in the world publicly challenges the system that helped create him. Michael Jackson never stayed silent when it came to artist ownership. During public speeches, he openly criticized major record companies and claimed that many legendary black performers spent their lives creating music only to lose control of their work and earnings. He argued that artists deserved respect, fair contracts, and ownership of the songs that made companies billions of dollars. His comments surprised many people because very few entertainers at his level were willing to criticize powerful business executives in public. Supporters praised him for speaking honestly, while critics believed he was simply frustrated with business disagreements. Even today, many musicians have raised similar concerns about contracts, royalties, and creative control, showing that these issues extend far beyond one person. Michael's speeches have become part of a larger conversation about who really benefits from the entertainment industry. Whether people agree with every claim he made or not, his willingness to speak publicly added another layer to his legacy. Instead of being remembered only as a singer and dancer, he also became someone who challenged the business side of music, encouraging fans and younger artists to think about ownership, fairness, and long-term control over creative work. Another reason Michael Jackson remains one of the most discussed celebrities in history is the way public opinion changed over time. In one period, he was celebrated as a global icon whose music united people across cultures. In another, he became the subject of endless headlines, jokes, and tabloid stories. Many supporters argue that the media focused more on sensational stories than on facts, creating an image that became difficult to erase. Others believe journalists were reporting on issues that were already attracting public attention. The truth is that media coverage has enormous influence over how celebrities are viewed, and once a certain image becomes popular, it can remain in people's minds for years. Dave Chappelle has spoken about this idea in interviews and comedy performances, describing how public figures can suddenly be labeled as unstable or strange after making unpopular decisions. His own experience of leaving a successful television show became an example of how quickly narratives can spread. Fans often compare these experiences with Michael Jackson's life, suggesting that once a negative story gains momentum, it becomes much harder for positive stories to receive the same attention. That comparison continues to fuel conversations across social media and video platforms. The names Oprah Winfrey and Diddy are often included in these online discussions, but it is important to separate public facts from personal interpretation. Oprah interviewed Michael Jackson and later hosted a program connected to the documentary Leaving Neverland, a decision that generated strong reactions from supporters and critics alike. Some viewers believed she was encouraging an important conversation, while others felt she accepted one side of the story too easily. Diddy, on the other hand, has publicly expressed admiration for Michael's influence on music and culture. Online creators sometimes interpret the careful language used by celebrities as evidence that they know more than they are saying, but those interpretations remain opinions rather than established facts. This difference is important because public discussions often mix documented events with assumptions, making it difficult to separate evidence from speculation. The continued interest in these figures shows how connected entertainment, media, and public perception have become. A single interview, statement, or appearance can generate millions of comments, each adding another layer to a story that is already complicated. Perhaps the biggest lesson from Michael Jackson's story is that fame does not protect someone from public judgment. Once a narrative takes hold, changing it can become nearly impossible, regardless of how much time passes. Supporters argue that he was misunderstood and unfairly treated, while critics maintain their own perspectives based on widely reported events. At the same time, his music continues to inspire new generations, proving that his artistic influence remains powerful long after his passing. His speeches about artist rights, ownership, and fairness continue to be shared because they raise questions that still matter today. Who controls creative work? How much power does the media have over public opinion? Can a person's reputation ever recover after years of negative headlines? These questions reach far beyond one celebrity and apply to many public figures across different industries. Whether someone views Michael Jackson as a misunderstood icon, a complicated superstar, or simply one of the greatest entertainers in history, his story continues to encourage debate about power, influence, and the responsibility of both media and audiences. And that may be the reason people are still talking about him years later, not because every theory is true, but because his life sits at the center of larger conversations about fame, justice, and the stories that shape how the world remembers its biggest stars. Another reason this topic continues to attract millions of views is the way different celebrities have described Hollywood and the entertainment business over the years. Dave Chappelle has often talked about the pressure that comes with success, explaining that the industry can make people feel celebrated one day and isolated the next. After walking away from one of the biggest television deals in comedy history, he became the center of countless rumors. Some reports claimed he had lost his mind, while others questioned why someone would leave so much money behind. Years later, Chappelle laughed about those stories and suggested that people are often called crazy when they refuse to follow expectations. Many Michael Jackson supporters believe the singer experienced something similar. They point to the way jokes, headlines, and tabloid stories slowly became part of his public identity, replacing conversations about his music and achievements. Whether or not someone agrees with that comparison, it highlights an important reality about modern media. Repeated stories, funny nicknames, and viral headlines can shape public opinion more than detailed facts ever could. Once millions of people hear the same message over and over, it becomes difficult to separate truth from entertainment. That is why debates about Michael Jackson are still active today. His fans argue that his legacy should be remembered through his music and humanitarian work, while critics focus on the controversies that surrounded him. The result is a public image that remains one of the most complex in entertainment history. Michael Jackson's supporters also believe that his fight with major record companies deserves more attention than it receives. During public speeches, he openly accused music executives of exploiting artists and taking advantage of the people who created the songs that generated billions of dollars. He argued that many legendary performers spent decades working only to lose ownership of their music and financial freedom. At the time, those comments sounded shocking because very few global superstars were willing to criticize the companies behind their own success. Looking back today, discussions about artist ownership have become much more common. Musicians from different genres have spoken about contracts, streaming revenue, publishing rights, and the importance of controlling their own catalogs. Because of this, many fans see Michael as someone who was discussing problems long before they became mainstream topics. Others believe his business disagreements should not automatically be connected to every challenge he later faced. Regardless of where people stand, his speeches have gained new attention in recent years because they connect with ongoing conversations about fairness in the entertainment industry. Instead of simply watching performers on stage, audiences have become more interested in understanding who owns the music, who controls the profits, and how much influence powerful companies have behind the scenes. The role of television and media personalities has also become part of this larger conversation. Oprah Winfrey interviewed Michael Jackson during one of the most watched celebrity interviews ever aired, creating moments that millions of viewers still remember. Years later, she participated in discussions surrounding the documentary Leaving Neverland, leading to strong reactions from audiences across the world. Some people praised her for providing a platform for serious conversations, while others believed she approached the subject without giving equal attention to different viewpoints. These disagreements continue across social media, where every old interview, public appearance, and headline is analyzed again and again. The same pattern can be seen with many famous figures, including Diddy, whose comments about Michael have often been interpreted in different ways by online audiences. Some viewers see respect and admiration, while others believe celebrities choose their words carefully because they understand how quickly public opinion can change. Those interpretations remain personal opinions rather than proven facts, but they show how modern audiences enjoy connecting pieces of information into larger stories. In the age of viral videos and short clips, a few seconds of footage can create debates that last for years, proving that media narratives are often just as powerful as the events themselves. At the center of every discussion is one undeniable fact: Michael Jackson changed popular culture forever. His music videos transformed television, his performances influenced generations of artists, and his albums continue to reach new listeners around the world. Even decades after the peak of his career, people still study his interviews, speeches, and public appearances, searching for deeper meaning. Some see a misunderstood genius who fought against an unfair system, while others view him as a complicated figure whose life cannot be separated from controversy. Both perspectives continue to exist because his story touches on issues much larger than one individual. It raises questions about media influence, celebrity culture, business power, and the speed with which public opinion can shift. Every new documentary, interview, or online discussion adds another chapter to a conversation that refuses to disappear. Perhaps that is why Michael Jackson remains one of the most analyzed entertainers in history. His legacy is built not only on unforgettable music but also on debates about truth, reputation, and the way stories are created and shared. Whether people agree or disagree with the theories surrounding his life, they continue returning to the same question: how much of what the public believes comes from verified facts, and how much comes from narratives repeated so many times that they eventually become accepted as reality? As online discussions grew, many people started looking beyond headlines and began comparing the experiences of different celebrities who challenged powerful industries. Dave Chappelle became one of the most common examples because of his decision to walk away from an extremely successful television show at the height of his career. At the time, many media reports questioned his actions, and rumors spread quickly across television and newspapers. Years later, Chappelle explained that he simply wanted control over his own work and personal life. His story made many fans think about Michael Jackson in a new way. Michael had also spoken publicly about ownership, contracts, and respect for artists, arguing that creative people should not lose control of the music they spend their lives making. This comparison does not prove that both men experienced the same situation, but it highlights a pattern that many viewers find interesting. When famous people reject expectations or criticize powerful businesses, public conversations often shift away from their original message and focus instead on their personalities. Supporters believe this change in attention can distract audiences from bigger issues, while critics argue that celebrities must also accept public scrutiny. The debate continues because it touches on something that affects more than entertainers. It raises questions about who controls public stories, how reputations are built, and whether ordinary people receive all the information needed to form independent opinions instead of simply following popular narratives. Another topic that continues to generate interest is the relationship between fame and public image. Michael Jackson spent most of his life in front of cameras, meaning every decision, appearance, or rumor quickly became international news. As the years passed, jokes and nicknames often replaced serious discussions about his music, charity work, and record-breaking achievements. Fans argue that repeated negative stories created an image that became impossible to escape, regardless of later developments or changing public opinions. They point out that once a person receives a certain label, every future event is viewed through that same lens. This idea is not unique to Michael Jackson. Many public figures have spoken about feeling trapped by stories that continue long after the original headlines disappear. Social media has made this process even faster, allowing clips, comments, and opinions to spread across the world within minutes. One interview can create thousands of reaction videos, millions of comments, and endless speculation from people who have never met the individuals involved. As a result, audiences are now consuming entertainment news in a completely different way than previous generations. Instead of waiting for newspapers or television reports, people watch short videos and viral posts that often mix facts, opinions, and personal theories into one continuous story. This environment makes it more important than ever to separate documented information from assumptions, while still asking thoughtful questions about how public narratives are created. Michael Jackson's influence on younger artists is another reason these conversations remain relevant today. Musicians across different genres continue to describe him as one of the greatest performers in history, praising his stage presence, songwriting, and ability to connect with audiences around the world. His concerts broke attendance records, his albums sold hundreds of millions of copies, and his music videos changed the way artists approached visual storytelling. Even decades later, dance moves inspired by Michael appear in concerts, talent shows, and viral social media videos. In the end, the story surrounding Michael Jackson is about much more than one celebrity or one moment in history. It is a story that brings together music, fame, business, media, and the incredible power of public opinion. Whether people see him as a misunderstood icon, a complicated superstar, or simply one of the greatest entertainers ever, there is no denying that his influence continues to shape the industry today. His speeches about artist ownership, his criticism of record companies, and his desire for creative control still sound relevant in a time when many musicians are fighting for the same rights. At the same time, conversations involving figures like Dave Chappelle, Oprah Winfrey, and other Hollywood personalities remind us that the entertainment world is rarely as simple as it appears on television or social media. Every interview, headline, and viral clip tells only part of a much bigger story, leaving audiences to connect the remaining pieces themselves. That is exactly why Michael Jackson remains one of the most talked about artists in history. His life continues to inspire debates about fairness, influence, and the way powerful narratives are created. Some people believe he exposed uncomfortable truths, while others believe his legacy should be viewed through a different lens. Regardless of where anyone stands, one fact remains impossible to ignore. Decades after his biggest performances, the world is still discussing his words, his music, and the impact he left behind. Very few artists continue to spark this level of curiosity years after their passing, and that alone says something about the size of his cultural influence. But perhaps the most important question is not whether every theory is true or whether every headline was fair. The bigger question is how easily public opinion can be shaped when millions of people hear the same story over and over again. In today's world of 24-hour news cycles and social media, information spreads faster than ever, but so do assumptions, rumors, and personal opinions. Michael Jackson's journey reminds us to look deeper, question simple answers, and understand that history is often more complicated than it first appears. The entertainment industry will continue creating stars, and the media will continue telling stories about them, but audiences also have the power to think critically and decide for themselves what deserves belief. Maybe that is the real lesson hidden beneath all the debates and documentaries. The truth is rarely found in one interview, one headline, or one viral video. It is built by looking at different perspectives, asking difficult questions, and refusing to accept easy conclusions. And now the conversation comes to you. Do you believe Michael Jackson was simply one of the most misunderstood celebrities in history, or do you think there is more to the story than the public has ever been told? Share your thoughts in the comments, join the discussion, and if you enjoyed exploring this fascinating topic, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because the next story might completely change the way you see Hollywood, fame, and the people behind the spotlight.